So in this video, we're going to look over the top guitars used in modern country music. That's coming right up. Hey y'all, it's Colt Wheeler here, bringing you the best country guitar tips and tricks so that you can level up your country music playing faster. On this channel, I cover everything from tone tips, gear reviews, and guitar tips for playing country music, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So traditionally, the only guitar acceptable for country music was the Fender Telecaster, as that was the largest audience that Leader Fender was trying to capitalize on when he created the guitar. Then the 1980s came along, actual amps and Telecasters were out, rack mount gear and Stratocasters were in. Go figure. And ever since then, more and more styles of guitars have made their way into the hands of Nashville's top players. Okay, so we're only going to be looking at electric guitars today. If you're interested in acoustic guitars, that video is coming soon. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Now let's take a look at the top electric guitars used in country music. Is the Fender Telecaster. Obviously, right? Telecaster's origins even started with country music. Local country players would ask Leo Fender to borrow the original prototypes for the Telecaster, as those original guitars could cut through the mix a lot easier. Honky-tonk music was extremely loud, and they're often played in small bars and venues, and Western swing bands had many instruments on stage. So guitar players instantly latched onto the Telecaster in order to be heard over the other instruments. Ever since then, the Telecaster twang has been closely associated with country music. The Telecaster is known for its ability to produce both a bright, rich cutting tone and a mellow, warm, bluesy jazz tone depending on the selected pickup, and by adjusting the tone control. This wide range of tones makes the Telecaster one of the most versatile guitars out there, and undoubtedly a country guitar. So let's talk about Strats. Strats are a lot warmer and mellower than Teles, but ever since the 1980s, they've been a staple in country music. Chris Lusinger was probably the one who made Strats officially a country instrument with his intro riff on Garth Brooks' Ain't Going Down Until the Sun Comes Up. Depending on when you first listened to country music, Strats may have always been considered country. I've always viewed them to be a bit squawkier than the twangy Telecaster, but not much beats a Fender Stratocaster on its neck pickup. I made a video on how to achieve a Telecaster sound on a Strat a few months back, but I've since found that if you utilize a Strat for its own characteristics, opposed to making it sound like something else, that's where it really shines. If you play genres other than country, the Strat's probably the best option to go for since it's the most versatile guitar out there. It's also been said by many other guitar players, to sound most like yourself, play a Strat. It's a Swiss Army knife of guitars, and it can be used in literally anything. Up next is the Les Paul. The Les Paul is more associated with rock and roll than country music, but its beefy tones lend itself perfectly for rhythm and slide playing. If Strats and Telecasters are used for bright leads, then Les Pauls are used as the perfect complementary guitar to help fill out the song. Les Pauls are also used for more rockin' songs. Looking at you, John Osborne. The fat sound just rocks, and then the perfect slide playing guitar. They're essentially a Telecaster on steroids. It doesn't twang as much, but it certainly holds its own with everything else. There isn't much I can say about the Les Paul that hasn't already been said by millions of others. It's a solid instrument, and it's the diametric opposite of a Telecaster and Strat in terms of its beefy sound. And it produces that rock and roll sound that everybody loves. All around, it's a fantastic instrument. So the PRS is basically a modern take in combination of the Stratocaster and the Les Paul, but sounds uniquely its own. The PRS sound is definitely welcomed in country music. Its sounds are clear, it's crisp, and it can be molded into whatever sound you're looking for. I honestly have yet to find an application that PRS guitar can't solve. Need a metal tone? PRS. Need an ambient palette? PRS. Need a Telecaster twang? PRS. On that note, the PRS split coil feature is by far the best design out of any guitar builder. I have yet to find a guitar outside of PRS that maintains the same volume when the coils are split. Does the coil split sound exactly like a Tele or Strat? No, it sounds like a PRS, but it does sound like a single coil PRS because it's PRS. Now most people don't associate PRS guitars with country music, but PRS used to make a Brent Mason signature model, and I implore you to find someone more associated with modern country music than Mr. Mason. Go ahead, let me know in the comment section below, who is more country than Brent Mason? Let me know if you can think of any. I can't. So up next is the SG, and everything that was said about the Les Paul applies here to the SG. I mean, the SG was initially called a Les Paul SG, as it was considered a modern redesign and the next step in evolution of the Les Pauls when it was released in 1961. Now Les Paul, the musician, didn't care for the design and in 1964 asked his name to be removed from the instrument. At that moment, the SG became its own line of guitars. Now the SG rocks so hard that it's Gibson's best-selling guitar every year. It's also the perfect slide guitar. Just go ask Derek Trucks. And for the same reasons as the Les Paul, the SG is undoubtedly a useful country guitar. Next up is the Eddie Van Halen Wolfgang. This may seem like an odd one to be on this list, but remember, Eddie Van Halen brands is actually owned by Fender, so it makes a bit more sense. Fender is really represented on this list. So the Eddie Van Halen Wolfgang, the guitar that Eddie Van Halen built over the culmination of his entire career that defined a generation of hard rock and metal guitar players, is considered country now? Well, yes it is, and for good reasons. First, like I mentioned in the modern country guitar tone video, country music these days takes a lot of inspiration from different genres, especially from rock and roll. And what better guitar to play rock and roll than the guitar made by the rock god himself? If you've ever been to a Jason Aldean concert, you'll notice that Kurt Allison is rocking the PRS and EVH guitars majority of the night. And if you've ever played one of Eddie's guitars, you'll see why people gravitate towards them. They just play so easily and sound incredible. So yeah, EVH has definitely earned its spot on this list. The Electric Spanish 335, the hollow body king, definitely deserves to be on this list. Look at the YouTube channels of Nashville session players like Tom Bukovac and Guthrie Trapp, and you will quickly spot a few ES 335s. The ES line was initially created to combat the feedback problems that the Gibson hollow body guitars were originally known for. This guitar was quickly adopted by blues players like Eric Clapton, Chuck Berry, and B.B. King. The ES335 has since become adopted by the top session players. These Nashville players use them to get a warm humbucker sound that's richer and fuller than a traditional Les Paul sound due to its semi-hollow body nature. No country guitar list would be complete without some type of Gretsch. Now Gretsch makes a bunch of styles of guitars, but the main reason it makes this list is the unique Filtertron pickup. These pickups are so uniquely Gretsch that I had to look at their website to see if they made any other guitars without the Filtertron pickup. They do, but there's one Gretsch in particular that stands out as the country guitar, and that's the Gretsch 6120. The 6120 came into the scenes in the mid-1950s with an endorsement from Mr. Guitar himself. The fact that Chet Atkins played and endorsed this guitar is enough to earn the 6120 a spot on this list. The Gretsch seems to be on the rise, especially amongst country guitar players, and of course anyone who wants to Travis pick. Next up is the Jazzmaster. Now the Jazzmaster is mostly used by surf rockers and indie guitar players, but ever since Chris Stapleton came out swinging with Justin Timberlake at the CMAs, the Jazzmaster is just a country guitar. The Jazzmaster uses two single coil pickups, but they're a lot different than the Strat pickups. And to me, they sound more like P90s. Your ears might tell you something different, but that's what I hear. I don't know any other country guitar players who use the Jazzmaster, but the fact that the biggest name in country music right now uses one, well then that's good enough for me to make this list. Up next is the Gibson Firebird. I don't know many players, let alone country guitar players, who wield this Gibson classic, but Zach Brown Band's Clay Cook uses one, and he's one of my personal favorites, so the Gibson Firebird makes this list. The Firebird supports two mini humbuckers, which are similar to the Les Paul and the ES335 pickup, but the sound is more focused on the mid-range frequencies, resulting in a clearer and brighter sound. For me, the sound is somewhere in between the tone of a humbucker and a Telecaster pickup. I should also mention that Leonard Skinner's Alan Collins rocked a P90 equipped Firebird for most of his tenure with the band. And while not necessarily country, Skinner has often been associated with the country music scene. Just go down to any local bar on Lower Broadway, and if you stay long enough, you'll surely hear someone singing loud and proud to Give Me Three Steps, Simple Man, and Curtis Lowe. Those are the best 10 guitars you can play for country music. No, I didn't go into the exact specific models of each guitar, as that really depends on what your budget is. But if you stick to those 10 instruments, you'll be able to coax whatever country sounds you want out of them. But I want to hear from you. What's your favorite guitar to play country music on? Let me know in the comment section down below. So if you enjoyed this video and learned something new today, hit the like button, as that helps me create more helpful country guitar videos. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and you never want to miss out on a country guitar lesson, just like this one. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. If you'd like to strike up a conversation, ask me some questions, or talk about whatever's on your mind, those links are down in the description box below. With that said, thanks for watching. My name's Colt Wheeler, and I'll see you in the next video. And until then, let the music play.